This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Heather Sells. A statue of the abolitionist Frederick Douglass is the latest to topple. Police in Rochester, New York say they found the statue ripped from its pedestal on Sunday, and they are investigating. Over the weekend, the president took a strong position against what many believe is a revolution against America's history and its values. Dale Hurd has the story.
In speeches over the weekend, President Trump attacked the so-called cancel culture, which seeks to erase part of American history. He denounced it as a left-wing cultural revolution and said we only kneel to God. After weeks of rioting, burning cities, and toppled monuments, President Trump made clear he opposes those trying to rewrite and eradicate American history and values.
We will never allow an angry mob to tear down our statues, erase our history, indoctrinate our children, or trample on our freedoms.
Speaking at Mount Rushmore, which some on the left see as a symbol of white supremacy and would like to destroy, President Trump declared that the monument will never be desecrated and America's heroes never forgotten.
Make no mistake, this left-wing cultural revolution is designed to overthrow the American Revolution.
The president warned that the left-wing movement is attacking America's basic freedoms.
In our schools, our newsrooms, even our corporate boardrooms, there is a new far-left fascism that demands absolute allegiance. If you do not speak its language, perform its rituals, recite its mantras, and follow its commandments, then you will be censored, banished, blacklisted, persecuted, and punished.
Attacks from the Democrats and the media were fast and furious. Even before the Mount Rushmore speech, in a tweet that was later deleted, the official Democratic Twitter account accused Trump of glorifying white supremacy. The New York Times accused Trump of using the Mount Rushmore speech to deliver a divisive culture war message. A CNN reporter called Mount Rushmore a monument of two slave owners and a land wrestled away from Native Americans. But CNN had no problem when Bernie Sanders gushed at a visit to Mount Rushmore in 2016 that it represented America at its very best. Meanwhile, more statues are coming down. Christopher Columbus was thrown into Baltimore Harbor over the weekend. And in Rochester, New York, the statue of black abolitionist Frederick Douglass was vandalized. The controversy is not likely to stop, as left-wing protesters are likely to target more statues across the country. And this is shaping up to possibly be a major issue in this year's election. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
The coronavirus didn't take off for the holiday weekend, with the U.S. breaking new records. More than 48,000 cases were reported in just 24 hours. 37 states have seen an increase in cases, and health officials are concerned after many Americans gathered to celebrate Independence Day. Thousands packed onto beaches in New Jersey and Delaware. At Diamond Lake in Michigan, hundreds partied without masks or social distancing. 9 states reported record numbers of new cases over the weekend, including Florida, with more than 21,000 on Saturday and Sunday.
July 4th weekend, people wanted to get out and enjoy themselves a little bit, and I thought overall the nation did pretty well. But of course, the number of cases continue to rise.
President Trump, meanwhile, says the steady climb in cases is a result of increased testing. Well, this coming weekend, the president will hold an outdoor rally in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, at the city's international airport. The Trump campaign says there will be ample access to hand sanitizer. All attendees will be provided with a face mask that they are strongly encouraged to wear. And for more national news, be sure to tune into Faith Nation this evening. For the latest from our team in Washington, D.C., you can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. Well, an update now on the death of Army soldier Vanessa Guillen. Investigators are confirming that they have identified her remains more than 2 months after her disappearance. Guillen was last seen April 22nd outside of her barracks at Fort Hood in Killeen, Texas. Investigators found her remains in late June, 20 miles from the base. Officials say Army Specialist Aaron Robinson took his own life after being identified as a suspect. His alleged accomplice, Cecily Aguilar, is in court today, accused of helping to dismember and hide Guillen's body. Her family claims the Army did not take her disappearance seriously. The Army is defending itself.
I'm not just going to stay grieving in my room because I know Vanessa wouldn't want that. She wants justice.
What I was able to share was tempered by my responsibility to protect the integrity of the investigation so that we could A, find Vanessa, B, prosecute those responsible for this travesty.
Guillen's family believes Robinson sexually harassed Guillen. Investigators say they have found no evidence of that. Well, turning overseas, a series of massive and mysterious explosions has rocked Iran's nuclear and missile facilities in just the last few days. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, many in the Middle East want to know who is behind these explosions and what this means for Iran's nuclear program.
The biggest explosion took place Thursday, July 2nd at Natanz, one of Iran's main nuclear centers. It damaged a new centrifuge assembly center designed to enrich uranium. An Iranian official explained Iran's version of what happened.
Today, at around 2 a.m., there was an incident as a result of which there were physical damages. Thank God we haven't had fatalities.
The New York Times reported that a Middle East intelligence official said Israel was responsible and also cited a member of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps who said an explosive was used. This satellite image at Natanz showed extensive damage, but the Natanz explosion wasn't the only recent incident. An explosion hit Iran's strategic missile complex at Kojir on June 25th, and another blast at a medical center in Tehran last Tuesday killed at least 19. With so many explosions in the space of just several days, many in the region are asking who's behind these blasts. A Kuwaiti newspaper, Al Jarida, claimed Israel used F-35s to attack Iran's missile production complex. Then a group calling themselves the Cheaters of the Homeland claimed responsibility for the explosion at Natanz. Some security experts also believe an Israeli cyber attack led to the Kojir blast. Here in Israel, when asked about the explosions, Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi said, "Our actions in Iran are better left unsaid." While alternate Prime Minister Benny Gantz said, "Not every event in Iran is necessarily related to us." How Iran responds to these incidents remains to be seen. Regardless of whether or not Israel is behind these incidents, Middle East expert Seth Frantzman says Israel's goal is clear.
Obviously, Israel does not want there to be any conditions under Iran would acquire a nuclear device or a system to deliver it, because if you build the nuclear bomb, you also need a rocket to deliver it somewhere. So both of those would be, I assume, technology that Iran must not possess. And Israel and the United States, I think, have been very clear on not having that happen.
On Monday, Israel launched a new spy satellite, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu extended the term of Israel's spy chief until next year. Analysts see both as signs of the ongoing simmering war between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Jewish state of Israel. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Coming up, why Amazon won't run an ad for a new book coming out and how the author is pushing back. But before we go to break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep. as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
A new book out this summer, Irreversible Damage, by author Abigail Schreier, documents a transgender trend you might not have heard of: cluster outbreaks among female friendship groups in middle, high school, and college. It's a topic that you think many parents would want to read about, but Amazon has decided it's not appropriate. Amazon informed Schreier's publisher, Regneri, that it won't run a paid ad for the book and explained that the book, quote, contains elements that may not be appropriate for all audiences, which may include ad copy, book content that infers or claims to diagnose, treat, or question sexual orientation. And we are joined now by author Abigail Schreier. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me on.
What is your response to Amazon saying that it won't allow a publisher's ad for your book?
Well, one of outrage. I mean, this is the new anorexia. Girls in distress are deciding with their friends that the source of their distress must be gender dysphoria. They've decided it's severe discomfort in their biological sex. Now, we know that that isn't so because it doesn't look like gender dysphoria. But my book explores both the medical, the psychological, and the cultural conditions that allowed this to skyrocket among this population. And exploring those risks is now something we're not allowed to do. We're not allowed to assess teenage girls' health, according to Amazon.
Yeah, it's really a head scratcher. How much of a setback is it for the book to not be able to have this paid ad?
It's hard. You know, I hear from parents all the time because parents are aware of this because they see 2% of high school students out of nowhere now identify as transgender. This was something that always afflicted a tiny, tiny percentage of the population, 0.01%, so 1/100%. And now it's 2% of high school students, and most of them are female. So parents are looking for guidance. They're looking for a book to help explain what is going on. And when they enter search terms to find out about this, what they find are a number of books promoting and celebrating young women to making this transition, but they won't allow an ad for a book skeptical that this is doing them any good.
So what kind of response are you getting to your book overall? How would you, I'm sure different groups are responding in different ways.
Right. So overall, it's been wonderful. So many parents. I get calls from parents every day. Parents who will tell me, you know, from the toniest girls' schools in Manhattan to, you know, public schools across the country, telling me that 15 or 20 or 30% of their daughter's 7th grade class has now decided it is LGBTQ and very often transgender. These are numbers that don't make any sense unless you entertain the possibility of social contagion. And we've seen this with teenage girls, and they're predominantly white girls. They're in distress, and the ways that they explain that distress might have been in prior generations demonic possession, or I'm so fat, and then today it's I'm so gender dysphoric.
Have you gotten any other pushback other than from Amazon and the paid ad?
Sure. I mean, there's a massive campaign underway to get my publisher to drop my book.
Okay. This transgender social contagion that you have written about in girls, where do you see it going? And I'm wondering if perhaps the pandemic might slow it down.
You know, I've heard both things. So part of this has been fueled by a lot of things. One of them is social media. Because there's so many influencers online, and these influencers, because teenagers spend so much time online and so little time with each other in person, these influencers have a huge impact on these girls' lives and convincing them that testosterone will cure all of the problems that they're feeling. So when they come home and they're with their parents, if they are not online all the time, very often these girls will desist. They'll stop saying they're transgender and they'll return sort of to themselves. But if these girls come home, you know, another thing is if they're away from their peers, they tend to desist. But if they are still online all the time, the problem does get worse.
All right. Well, fascinating topic. Abigail Schreier, author of Irreversible Damage. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Still ahead, how one black sports commentator is getting attention on social media for his comments on the Black Lives Matter organization.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
African-American sports commentator Marcellus Wiley says he doesn't think it's a good idea to paint Black Lives Matter on pro basketball courts, even though he appreciates the good intentions of the players. Wiley says once he looked into the mission of the predominant Black Lives Matter organization, there were some things that jumped out to him.
And this organization was founded in 2013. I'm proud of you. But I've been fighting this fight for me and for others a lot longer. Two things. My family structure is so vital, important to me. Not only the one I grew up in, but the one I'm trying to create right now. Being a father and a husband, that's my mission in life right now. How do I reconcile that, what I just told you, with this mission statement that says, quote, we dismantle the patriarchal practice. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement. When I know statistics, when I know my reality, forget statistics. I knew this before I even went to Columbia and saw these same statistics that I'm going to read to you right now. That children from single-parent homes versus two-parent homes. The children from the single-parent homes, this is in 1995 I was reading this. 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 6 times more likely to be in poverty, 9 times more likely to drop out of high school, 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances, 14 times more likely to commit rape, 20 times more likely to end up in prison, and 32 times more likely to run away from home. I knew that. You know why I knew it? Because a lot of my friends didn't have family structures that were nuclear like mine, and they found themselves outside of their dreams and goals and aspirations. So when I see that or as a mission statement for Black Lives Matter, it makes me scratch my head.
So here now with more on what else Wiley had to say is Dan Andros with faithwire.com. Dan, Wiley seems to be differentiating between this idea that Black lives do matter and the organization itself. Explain where he's coming from.
How's that, guys? I apologize for that. He seems to be completely on board with the Black Lives Matter movement, but not the organization. And as he was saying there in the clip, that he's been fighting that long since before this organization was created in 2013. But where he takes issue now is you see these big organizations like Amazon and others are actually partnering with the organization itself, Black Lives Matter movement, and they have a mission statement that's very problematic. If you actually go and read it, it starts off and it seems very benign and very much just supporting Black lives. But when you get a few paragraphs in, there were statements that are rather alarming, like the one he read about dismantling the patriarchal practice and the nuclear family, which obviously has problems, as he alluded to, listing off all of the problems we have in society when we don't have a nuclear family present.
And is the statements about the nuclear family the main concern, or is there other concerns that Wiley has?
Yeah, I mean, that was the primary thing that he tackled. Obviously, he listed all those, stunning statistics that we heard. But he also pointed out the kind of the hypocrisy there on the white supremacist, tackling and dismantling white supremacy is another goal that the organization lists. And so he points out the irony there that himself as a Black man and his co-host as a Black co-host there on a massive, sports network, simply to make the point that if it's so white supremacist, maybe they're not doing such a good job because there are plenty of Black people who are succeeding in this country.
Wow. What kind of response is he getting to these remarks?
Yeah, he's getting, well, as you would probably expect, he's getting a mixed response. Those on the left who support Black Lives Matter and, of course, not thrilled with the comments and don't necessarily agree. But those on the right who have sort of been criticizing the leftist leanings of the Black Lives Matter movement have been giving him praise. But it's tough to look at those comments when you go to the nuclear family and everything else and really criticize them. They're very strong comments.
So, and this all comes from the influence that Black Lives Matter had over the NBA and the basketball courts. Is the Black Lives Matter organization really the main organization, Dan? Or I've heard about other groups as well that are influential. How would you characterize it?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that just they're the ones definitely to the forefront. They've received tons of money. I think Amazon might have donated $10 million to them. So they seem to be the main beneficiary of those donations. But a lot of the groups have a social justice mission statement, and a lot of those also have a lot of political far left intentions behind them and motivating them. So I think that's the issue that a lot of people have, is we see in these movements there are political movements behind them, in addition to those who are trying to do good cultural work and promote unity and things of that nature. But there's this mixing of politics that people have a problem with.
Well, it's such a moment in our country right now, and calls for a lot of thought and care. Dan Andros, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, you can catch Faith Wire's Faith versus Culture with Dan Andros and Dale Partridge tonight on the CBN News Channel at 9:30 Eastern. After the break, an elderly man in Texas is still living on the edge, making his second jump from an airplane at 14,000 feet. What made this jump so special?
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
A 103-year-old Texas man is landing himself in the Guinness Book of World Records for tandem skydiving. Al Blaschke made headlines during his first jump 3 years ago at age 100.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
His jump over the weekend made him the oldest person in the world to ever skydive out of an airplane. His grandsons also joined him for the jump in honor of their college graduation. The retired craftsman built aircraft parts during World War II. He has also survived the Spanish flu, the Great Depression, and now COVID-19. And that's it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel at any time or online with CBNNews.com. Also, please do tell us what you think about the stories that you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope that you will join us next time. Have a great day.